Yes, you can teach your horse to jump. For 50 years, I've taught all different breeds how to jump, all different sizes, ponies, horses, all how to jump. And every horse can jump. I wouldn't say they're all really good at it, but you can teach them to jump, and I'm going to show you how. Before we get started into getting them over the jump, we're going to have to learn a little bit about how horses think and how they function about jumping before we actually put them over a jump. Okay, so be patient, hang with me, and we'll get you to the good stuff. So before we start jumping, we have to understand how the mechanics work for a horse to jump. There is nothing in their front end that gives them pushing power to be able to jump. It's their back end that allows them to jump. So if you watch a horse, there's actually 5 stages of a jump. There's an approach, whereas in the approach, they tend to kind of drop down a little bit in front and kind of crouch down a little bit. And then the takeoff, their hind end comes over and lifts their body off the ground. We have the flight, which is over the top. The landing, which is where they land with their front end down and their back end is still up. And then the recovery, the hind end will hit the ground, but the front end actually lowers a little as they're regaining their balance, and then they come up after the recovery stride. So there's 5 stages: approach, takeoff, flight, landing, and recovery. Now, the important thing about a horse is that with the spring being in the hind end, we got to make sure that we don't add more weight to the front end because there's nothing there that can lift them off the ground. So you want to keep your weight back on the takeoff. They're going to lift you up, and as they lift you up, then you come forward into your jumping position and get over the center of balance of the horse. And that makes it easy for the horse to jump. We have a tendency to think that we're going to help them by leaning forward and kind of helping them jump by jumping ourselves. But if you're trying to jump, you're pushing down on them as you're trying to stand up yourself. The best thing to do is sit there, let them pick you up, and then get your bottom out of the saddle when you don't get pushed out of the saddle with them bumping into your butt. So get your butt out of the saddle and allow them to be able to jump freely without bumping into you. We also need to think about how horses see. When they're going towards a jump, their eyes are on the side of their head and they have a blind spot directly in front of them. So as they get closer to the jump, the middle of the jump actually disappears and they can't see the center of it. They can only see kind of the sides of it, and they have to kind of memorize where the jump is at. It's a really good idea to always make sure you have standards on the side of the jump. That way the horse can know that's where the jump actually is. A lot of times they'll struggle more if there's nothing up at eye level that they can see. And if the jump is a little too narrow, then it's going to be more difficult to them. Another thing to think about is the width of the jump. If the jump is wider, it's easier for them to see it when they're going over it because they'll have some vision on their sides. So an 8-foot pole is a little too short for starting horses. I definitely prefer a 12-foot pole. A lot of the jump poles that they're selling right now are 10-foot. They work, but a 12-foot actually is best if you're teaching a green horse. Okay, now we know how the horse sees. We understand the horse's balance and mechanics of jumping. But there's one more part that's real important that you need to think about before we teach the horse to jump, and that's how the horse sees this problem. They don't know that we want them to jump. They kind of have their own idea of what that means. They're going to come down to that jump and think you're crazy because you're running them into something that they can easily go around. So you really need to make sure that they understand that it's okay to go over that obstacle, and that is the point of the game. I like to think that everything I teach them is a game, and they have to learn the rules of the game. I know what the rules of the game are. They don't. So I try to make it very clear. No, we don't want to do that. Yes, that's what we want. See how fun it is? So you make it a game. You make it fun for them. So the idea is you're going to take them down to your poles on the ground. Just put a pole on the ground, 1 or 2 poles. And first we're going to walk over them. You're just going to walk up to it, let them walk over it. If they pop over it, that's okay. Let them land, bring them back down to a walk if they end up trotting or cantering off, and go back and forth until they walk over quietly. Then we're going to move to our trot, and we're going to trot over the poles. And remember, think about the idea of that vision. It's weird for them to walk over something like that. So let them go over it a couple of times, make sure they understand the idea of it. Then we can set up like a little crossbar. We don't want to make it very big. I usually only make the poles about 6 inches to 10 inches off the ground on the sides. So we're talking micro crossbar. That way, if they make a mistake, they don't hurt themselves. And another thing to think about is that sometimes they forget they have back legs. So they'll do good with the front end, but then they'll kind of crash through with the back end, and it might scare them. So when you come back around, they might go, hey, I don't know if I want to do that. That thing bit me the last time I went over it. So if they do that, just keep encouraging them. Maybe give them a little squeeze with your leg to help them get a little more effort over the jump. And again, you want to reward them when they do it. Make a big fuss over them when they do it right. Even if it seems silly, just, yeah, good boy, good girl, glad you did it. So they understand that that's the point of the game. And it'll make them feel more confident, and they're going to be more willing to try the next time. One thing I really want you to think about when you teach a horse to jump is don't do too much too fast. Let them get a win and then rest. Come back another day. Let them go back to their stall and think about it and go, wow, that was new. And wow, I did that and it was good and I feel good about myself. Maybe I can do that again tomorrow. If you do too much, they're going to get sour on it or burn out, and then you're going to end up with other issues with your horse. So be patient. Do a little bit. Let them know they're a winner. Put them away. Come out the next day. Teaching a horse to jump does not happen overnight. Some horses are going to be super talented at it and they're going to get it right away. Some horses are going to be a little slow. I've had some that have taken several months before they kind of figure out they have all 4 legs. But if you're patient and you're consistent with it, they usually will figure it out just fine. Stick to just walking and trotting over the poles right now, or your little crossbar jump. Don't canter yet. We'll get to the canter, don't worry. But we really got to teach them the rules of the game, one step at a time, and build confidence. I've always taught my horses to jump in confidence. I don't want them jumping out of fear. I don't want them to jump because I'm mean to them or they're more afraid of me. I want them to jump because they enjoy the job, they understand the job, and they're not afraid of it. You will always perform better if you're confident in what you're doing. Same with a horse. You'll also have a horse that will jump for a long career if they're not afraid to jump. So build it slow. Remember, slow is fast with horses. Take your time. They'll progress faster in the long run. So go out there, do your homework, spend a couple of weeks playing around with this, and I'll give you some more information about the jumping position, jumping from the canter, and solving problems over fences. Okay? All right. Talk to you soon.